numbers of what you may think would be coming down the pipeline as a result of all of this and its impact on the housing market and real estate?
Maureen is on with us. She's the broker for Villa. She could probably give a lot of insight into that because she does, she handles BPOs, which are broker price opinion, and she's an REO agent, and she has just a ton of investors that work for her real estate company. So she would probably have a pretty good outlook on that. Are you willing to share, Maureen?
Yeah, I'll share just a little bit. Just kind of the Cliff's Notes version of stuff that I see coming down the pipeline. So typically this time of year between Thanksgiving and New Year's anyways, the banks put a moratorium on any foreclosures. And so they just, what they did was they started that process early this year based upon the COVID and the fact that, you know, the feds had come in and said that they were going to allow borrowers a forbearance period of 6 months to where they wouldn't have to make their payments. They would still be accruing interest, but they wouldn't be getting any penalties for not making those payments, you know, during the months of April through September. But starting October 1st, they were going to have to make, you know, their payment plus, typically is what was happening. So they all got sent a letter that said that in September that said basically, you know, your payment's going to be due in October. And we know that you've been in the forbearance program. How would you like to get caught up? We're going to give you 3 options. The first being you can pay it in full. The second being the amount of money that you haven't been paying plus interest. You can spread that out over 12 months. You will still accrue the interest on the balance, but so you need to make your payment plus. And then the third option was that they could apply for additional forbearance, but they were going to have to meet certain criteria, which they were not required to do at the beginning of the COVID shutdown. So a lot of people didn't realize, I think, that that was going to be their option. I think they thought that what they would be doing is tacking on the amount of money that they weren't paying for those 6 months just onto the back end of their mortgage, and that's not what was occurring. So for a lot of them. So I think that there's going to be kind of an upswing once we see the court processes, you know, return to some normalcy after the first of the year. And I think you'll see an upswing in foreclosures. I know that NAR and some of the other statistical outlets have been talking about how there is an upswing in foreclosures as of October. So I think it's going to continue. I don't think it's going to be what we saw in 2008 because they put parameters in place so that way they weren't loaning 125% of the value of the property. But you're still going to see some people who are going to wind up upside down in their mortgage. And then there's people who have current equity in their house, but the longer they stay in distress, as we call it, the less likely of them selling and walking away with anything will be. And the longer they wait, the housing market inventory will probably increase as more people start to put their homes on the market. So then it's going to change from a seller's market to a buyer's market. That's pretty much my take on what I see.
Yep. And I think a lot of investors are prepared and hoping and waiting to buy them some cheap houses again for their inventory.
Well, they'll be cheap, but they won't be like they were. I mean, you're not going to get them for pennies on the dollar, but you're going to get them at a discounted rate.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm a lead generator, and right now, for me, working to generate leads is a little bit tougher than it's been in the past. But the second you having a crash in the market, totally shifts to a whole lot more leads coming in.
Yep.
Everything shifts at that point. So.
Yeah, as the market changes, as more inventory, it's supply and demand, correct? So as more inventory comes on the market, that's when you start to see the tables turn, where sellers aren't able to name their price anymore. It becomes more of a buyer's market, to where they're kind of naming the price that they're willing to pay, because the house is really only worth what someone's willing to pay for it and what the bank will lend.
Mark, are you starting to see that change at all? Doesn't sound like it.
Not yet.
It seems like I'm starting to see a few better values out there, but maybe
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
seeing a real abundance of it.
No, but we're seeing kind of that, as we call it, come to Jesus moment, where where pricing starts to kind of align itself with.
It's come. It's come.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely happening. I mean, because you're seeing where properties take a little bit longer, where they're staying on the market. You know, we were seeing them where, shoot, you know, you'd have them up and you'd have an offer accepted within under 24 hours sometimes. You know, so they didn't even have a chance to kind of season, because the inventory was so low that buyers were going crazy just trying to find a house. And so they were, you know, offering exorbitant amounts, just trying to get someone to accept their deal. And now we're starting to see, you know, a little more seasoning time, where the days on market are starting to be, you know, 10, 14, things like that. So, you know, it's changing. It's definitely changing. And I think after the first of the year, you're going to see a big uptake in inventory.
Some of the things.
Sour cream or red pepper crema?
Sure.
I'll have the red peppers.
So some of the things I'm doing, like your question, remember I'm funding Volunteers of America's campaign on television. So I'm going to find out real quickly what the market's about. That should be a good month for donations for real estate. Nationwide email campaign for commercial properties to brokers. Anyway, what are you guys ready to get started? Maureen, you ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay. So first of all, I want to welcome everybody being here. Feel free to ask questions along the way. And if there's a lot of new investors, please, if we're saying something you don't understand, I guarantee you there's other people on this meetup that don't understand what's being said. So ask us, what does that mean? You know, what are you saying? Make us repeat it. Again, welcome. Is there, if there's anybody from out of state, maybe you can raise your hand and let us know, because we're doing this from Michigan, and we're glad you're on if you are from out of state. So the big question is why our group does this meetup, because we're not charging for anything. We're not trying to sell anything. What we are trying to do is give people really, you know, like a self-help group. And we found that in working together, we can get a lot more done. So we'd ask that if you're an experienced employee, please share. And we got on our Facebooks, go on and make comments, bring your houses, bring your deals, ask questions. You know, there's greedy reasons why we're on it too, because we're looking to find people we can work with also. So anyway, that's why we do it. And Todd, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely here to help anyone, and especially in wholesaling, or if you have questions about anything, or if you need me to look at a deal, or if you need help getting it under contract, I call that squatting up with somebody, and I do it all the time. And I work with other wholesalers, especially ones that might be beginning, and I might help them get it under contract, or I might help them sell it, or do both. So yeah, definitely it's good to squat up with others.
I have a question.
Yep.
Now, I'm new to this. I'm new to this whole meetup thing. Now, is it a certain areas that, like you said squat up? Is it certain areas that you typically work in, or it doesn't matter?
I work Detroit to Flint and anywhere in between, downriver, Macomb County. So usually Macomb, Oakland, Wayne, Genesee County is where I work. I did have someone reach out to me today, and they had some property in Muskegon, and I got some buyers out there. So, so that's really my area. So
If you're an out-of-state investor and you're on this meetup with us today, what you want to do is join local meetups and look for experienced investors. People who are actually out there doing this full time, and work the team up with them. Like, I'll just give you an example. The experienced investors that we've got on tonight's meetup, like Todd, you would work with somebody and showing them the ropes, and
yep.
You're not going to make as much money as you would if you were doing it on your own, but you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to do the forms. You're going to learn how to put the deals together. And I recommend that anywhere in the U.S. That's the way to do that. I would not spend a lot of money joining a group where you're paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 guru that's from out of state. You want to learn from the local people that are doing in your market. So and they're there attending those meetings. And just a little bit, about Todd's done tons of rehabs. He's had rental properties. I had 350 rental properties at one time. I was doing find, fix, and flip 8 houses a month. I was a note buyer at one time, a major wholesaler. Today, all I do is generate leads, and I'm looking to find wholesalers that I can work with, like Todd. And I think, is Fred, are you on the call tonight too?
I see his name down there.
Pardon?
I see Fred's name down there. Can you hear us, Fred? He might be.
Yeah, so Fred's another person. He's an experienced investor. In fact, we'll ask a little later again if the experienced investors to speak up. So, your question?
Yeah, I might have a question. Like me being like a new investor to this, to the real estate thing. Now, like, is it? I'm asked this. I guess this is a personal question to the more experienced investors. Like, with your contact information, is it what's the best way to, like, if I have like a situation that something that I might not understand, what is the best way to reach out to you?
We're going to give your contact information, and then also our particular meetup has almost 6,000 people in it, so you can actually go on the bulletin board there and put a message, or so you can even send a message out to the whole group. So, and you can contact me. I'm one of the administrators, and I'll try to team you up with the right person. And
Okay.
we'll have Todd's email and phone number,
Yep.
my phone number, my email before we get here. Okay.
Cool,
Yeah, the
thanks.
best way to contact me is text, but just the best way to contact someone is just try everything until they respond.
Okay, all right, cool.
You know what I mean? So some people like email, some people like, it depends. Every day is different for me, but
Right.
text is best today.
Right.
But yesterday it wasn't good, was it, Mark?
Oh.
Depends
Yeah.
on how many dumpsters I got delivered.
Yeah. Here's the deal. We'll get back with you. It might not be right that moment, but we will get back with you.
Okay, cool.
And I'll try to get you at least teamed up with the right people.
Okay.
Oh, all right. So let's go to the next slide. So we got a couple of disclaimers. Real estate by its very nature is risky. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Don't guarantee a profit or loss. We don't provide legal advice. You need to seek that from the right individuals. And I think disclaimers, the one that says don't sue us, and I'll give that to you now. Everything that we're saying tonight is a lie. If you like it, try it on. In other words, don't sue us. So here's our agenda tonight. We're going to cover it, ask questions all the way through it. If we get really hard up for time, everything we're going to talk about it too. So I'll be able to together. You can email me and I'll send you out the videos so you can get the answers. We're going to walk you through how to limited liability company step by step. We're going to actually give you a manual. It's 18 pages. It was done by a local attorney here in Michigan. We're going to talk to you about where to get leads. We also give you access to a training video on that. What to say when you're on a call. Todd is excellent at that, and he's going to spend time with you tonight on that. Give you a script on what to say. It's a simple script, but it works when you're doing a cold call. What to do once you get a lead, in addition to that we have a video for that. We're going to talk to you about negotiating with the seller, how to estimate the value of the property. Plus, we're going to give you a training video because there's so much stuff we want to cover. We're going to give you access to everything we talk about by video. Give you access to local experts to go with you on your first calls. How to find buyers when you put a property under contract. How to build a buyer's list. And then we're going to give you a special gift at the end. Todd's going to give you a copy of his buyer favorable purchase agreement. I'm going to give you a copy of my buyer favorable purchase agreement. And we're going to give you all the necessary forms that are required in Michigan. We're also going to give you a claim of interest so that if you've got a property tied up, nobody will go around you if you feel you're in that situation. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. It's a lot. So everybody needs to look at where they are today. Like if you're working a full-time job, then you're going to be limited more in your time. You might want to just look at generating leads and teaming up with an experienced person. Or if you've got a part-time job, if you're ready to jump into this with both feet and you're not working right now, then I would highly recommend, in fact, I want to highly recommend whether you're part-time, full-time, experienced investor, are starting out to seriously look at getting a real estate license, because when you're generating leads, a lot of them need to be sometimes listed. I have currently, I have a property in Flint that needed to be listed, and I'm waiting for a closing on it. Now, I'm a lead generator, so I'm going to make 50% of the listing and actually the selling commission on it too as a referral. So if you've got a license, you can generate money. So like it might not be a property that's right for you as an investor, but then you can shoot that elsewhere. So I'm going to highly recommend that. And then we're going to give you the manual. Did you get the table of contents on that, and a video on how to set up your limited liability company? The manual's table of contents, just to give you an idea, it walks you through how to set one up where you're not going to get yourself in any issues. And it was done by a local attorney, and the information's in there step by step. So if you email me, I'll send this to you. We'll cover a couple bullet points that are important when you're setting up a limited liability company. Maybe flip to the next slide. Oh, I guess we didn't have that on there. So anyway, you want to never use your social security number. You want to get a tax ID number, and the manual will walk you through on how to do all those items. So in Michigan, a limited liability company for one person is what, I think about $50 or $60. Does anybody know the exact cost?
I think it depends, but I think the minimum is like $50. Yeah.
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 So, so if you're a brand new investor, so you're going to want to get a limited liability company. And basically a limited liability company is, if you're doing something, it doesn't the company stands on its own. You're reducing your liability to only that company. So it's going to not affect your personal assets. But you'll need to get a checking account and do all the steps that a test for a regular corporation would have. You want to also look around. There's some very easy ways to get started. And we did a video. If you look at, I can't remember when we did the last video, but if you go on our YouTube channel, the most recent videos there walk you through how to actually set yourself up. And then there's some videos on how to do it. So if I was a brand new investor, I'd create my limited liability company. I would get myself a name for that, maybe just initials. RMM is my initials, investments, or maybe my name, or maybe a, Green Tree Real Estate Investing or whatever. And then I would, after doing that, I would get business cards. I think this is all covered in the next slides, is it? I'm not certain. Maureen, flip forward, just out of curiosity. Yeah, so on your steps of forming the LLC, select a name, get your state paperwork, get a federal ID, and flip to the next one. This is a link where you can go to get your Michigan Articles of Organization. You can mail in, fax, or call in to get it. And go to the next one. Todd, you can jump in. You can download the IRS SS4 form, which is you never want to use your social security number. You want to go get an IRS tax ID number. And that's what that form does. And use the exact company name that you come up with. You can check on the state site to see if the names are available. And then we're now going to get into how to find leads. So are there any experienced investors in the room or with us tonight that want to talk about how they get their leads? Just share. Anybody?
If you are, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Come on, Brian. Where do you get your leads?
Well, I'm not a wholesaler.
Yeah, but you're Brian gets his leads from wholesalers.
Yeah, I can talk about that.
Are you getting them from the MLS? Or do you
Yeah, so I set up screens. There's actually one of the disadvantages of not being a realtor is that if you're using like Zillow or some of these other sites, they're like a day behind everybody. So there is an app that I use. I can share it with everybody.
Yeah.
That it's real time. So you're just as soon as I see it, like I've seen listings that come out, and then I talk to my realtor and he's like, how did you see that? I haven't even seen that yet. So there are some of the sites that are actually real time. Estately is the one I like because you can actually set it up by neighborhood. You could set like a price limit and then it'll give you a nice little notification. So Estately is an iPhone app. I like it a lot. I use wholesalers. I connect into the Metro Detroit Real Estate Group. I connect to the TC Deals site. I mean, there's a lot of wholesalers that are posting stuff out there. Another little tidbit is Facebook will default to only show you what they think you're interested in. You can change that setting so that it shows you everything. So a lot of times maybe someone posts something that's periodic and it won't even hit your radar, even if you're on that Facebook group. Other than that, yeah, just networking as well is another one. One of the deals I bought from Todd has now led to 2 other deals because they liked the work I did. And I befriended the maintenance man at the condo place. So, I built a little bit of a rapport with the maintenance people there. And I'm starting to understand, when I first started, people would say, well, it's a people business. I didn't really understand that. And now I'm starting to get it, that you get a lot of leads through just word of mouth.
And Brian, if anyone knows like the Morningside neighborhood, Brian is the top rent collect. He gets the highest rent in Morningside right now. Right?
Yes. Yes.
It's
Todd,
nice.
we did a deal with Todd. It was a foreclosure. And
Yep. He
renovated it.
He
And the
renovated
current
it.
rents in Morningside were about 1,200-1,300. We got 2,000.
Yep.
Nice.
That was unbelievable. Still
So-
going. They haven't stopped paying yet.
So if you're a new investor and you've got the cash and or the ability to mortgage, the MLS is an incredible place to find stuff. And you can actually set search criteria up on that. Maureen would probably be great to talk about that, but you can, set your criteria up for handyman special, foreclosures, bankruptcy,
Yeah,
certain
you can use keywords, you can use types of ownership. There's a few different things that you can do in order to kind of hone in on those deals that you're looking for.
For about 8 years straight, I had a very deep pocketed partner, and almost everything I got was off the MLS. And I would make, some days I would make 10 to 15 offers, and I upset more realtors than you can shake a stick at. I had realtors calling me up and say, "You've got to be kidding. This is a ridiculous offer. I'll never present it." And then 6 months later, they would call back and say, "Is your offer still good?" So, everything in my world, in the real estate investing world, is a numbers game. So, it's, you got to be afraid to not be afraid to make offers that work for you, so
Yeah.
not worry about what everybody else is going to think.
And can I add something to that, Mark?
Absolutely.
I was just going to add that, because I've done, I purchased about 8 properties over the last 2 years, and some realtors are really quick, and they are used to working with investors. They know what they want. They kind of cater just to that crowd. And so it's good to have someone, that kind of knows that. And it's just, they're basically working on volume, as opposed to, one of my first realtors I used, he had a minimum. And then I always feel like I was asking for a favor, "Hey, can you put this offer together? And you really need it out today." And then I wasn't sure if it was going to go out. So if you can find someone that's willing to turn stuff quick, that's helpful.
And then sometimes, even if you're working with a realtor and you're working where you find an REO, which stands for real estate owned, it's a foreclosed property. The agent that has that listed really controls it. So if you go in with a lowball offer and he has to split the commissions with your agent, then, if the mortgage company agrees to accept that offer and he knows that he could take it to one of his investors and beat it, then you're going to get beat out of the deal. So sometimes if it's a really hot property, you need to, maybe if you're working with a realtor, you pay both of them if you need to get the deal, because that REO agent is really controls the deal where it's going. So pass that along.
Yep.
So leads, anybody else want to share how they're getting leads? Or great share on your part. Thank you. So like where I'm a lead generator, so I'm generating off of signs. I'll have Todd hold one up.
Yep. I got one right here.
So if everybody can look at Todd.
You see it? We buy houses.
And guess what, Todd?
Yep.
I got a bigger sign.
Yep.
So really the best size sign that we found that works is 18 inches by 24 inches. We buy our signs off supercheapsigns.com at good prices. We found that the yellow sign with black print works the best, and the the smaller amount of words that you can put on it, like cash for your house, are